Thank you very much. Good morning, and thank you for coming here on time. My presentation is going to be very brief, just 15 minutes, but I would like to talk about how in the Mediterranean, besides everything that's going on, and there are really dramatic things that are going on, but there are other things that are going on that are not headlines, they are not detected, but they are very inspiring things. Elements that are giving us very pleasant surprises related to youth, to urban areas, and to the new technologies that are allowing us, in spite of the image problems the Mediterranean has, there is a great potential of creativity, growth, and cooperation, and complementing each other, as I said. I will say some data, some figures. The Mediterranean is a very dynamic area. Society, youth, is in great activity, going through great changes. 60% of population in the Mediterranean has less than 30 years. They are digital natives, which means that they have a great connectivity. The penetration of smartphones, of mobile phones, and the internet in the countries of the north of Africa and the Middle East is great. The penetration of the latest generations of iPhone is really high, even compared to other countries, other emerging economies. Countries such as Egypt and Turkey have 1 million inhabitants more every year. It is very dynamic societies that need the new technologies to give answers to the new social challenges. What is going on is in a way that's really led by youth, we're giving new solutions to social problems that are very intense in these societies. We're living a moment of a great redefinition of the area, which means that everybody in the public and private and civil society is being redefined compared to what has been there until 2011. So we're looking for new ways of cooperation, new ways of integration. There is a great hyper-connectivity. The connectivity is something objective. What can be done with connectivity? It can be just tweeting, having my account in Instagram, in Facebook. You are a consumer of the social networks, and there's great social activism in the social networks. So what is done with this connectivity is what is going to give it its value. This great implication of civil society, of small and middle enterprises in the new technologies for social solutions is what gives the added value to this connectivity. Otherwise, it's just consuming these social networks, and it's a waste of the potential, the digital potential we can have in these societies. So what I said is that new technologies are game changers. Many of the things that are going on in the Arab world, I'm not saying that the new technologies have caused this, but they have been catalyzers. They are creators of environments that make things happen, things that we see in the headlines. And we ask ourselves, how did this happen? Because below in the society, women, for example, can organize themselves, can express themselves, can organize themselves virtually, which is easier for them than in society. They can become entrepreneurs, they can access financing instruments through crowdfunding, specialized in women, for example, and this allows them to start to empower themselves intellectually, personally, and even economically. So things are going on. We don't see them in the headlines, but these headlines are explained through these things that had happened before. How do we see all this creation? Because all of this is going on. Only when we see it in the headlines, we realize that this is going on. These new technologies in the area are allowing for a great growth of all the issues related to e-health, for example. The physical infrastructure sometimes are deficient or not sufficiently quality, or they are very far, like Egypt is a very big country, and maybe you find the institutions too far. And these new technologies are allowing for a growth of e-learning, for example. And we have, for example, the Citizens Living Innovations, the Living Lab, IEMED, the European Institute of the Mediterranean, that I am a director of. It organized the first Mediterranean meeting of living labs, of instruments, of grassroots initiatives, of foundations, of NGOs, of civil society organizations. And this meeting is about new technologies for social innovation. It was a pleasant surprise. We saw cases from Jerusalem, Tunisia, Beirut, Lebanon, and so on, which were really impressive. We were surprised by the capacity of youth, but also of people who are not digital natives, but all the people who are really involved in the new technologies for changes in society. We find some cases where we find some people that are excluded in the societies. We saw the Living Lab of Istanbul, for example, working, doing really interesting projects with Syrian refugees in Turkey. There's a Living Lab in Istanbul which is expanding, and they have more than 3.5 million Syrian refugees in Turkey, and a good proportion of them are young people and children. They want to have them occupied, they want to get them busy in order to develop as human beings and economically, and these refugees are working in projects through mobile units in refugee camps in Turkey through the new technologies and using a methodology developed by Bashar Shehit Living Lab in Istanbul, and this is something that was explained in Barcelona. DigiLab Living Lab is a very interesting case that tells us that through the new technologies of comic strips, of 3D animation, new technologies are applied to gamification, to video games and so on. In Tunisia, there's a very interesting initiative which is inclusive, that looks for young people who are studying in primary education, secondary education, digital natives that want to complement their personal interests or look for a complement in order to earn a living. They are using Digital Living Lab in Tunisia. They're using art through new technology in order to create inclusivity in these societies. This is the case also of Bashar Shehit Living Lab that has trained more than 100 refugees in new technologies. And they have 4 new projects this year that are aimed at the inclusion of the civil society of the Syrian refugees. This is the case of the DGR Living Lab in Tunisia. People from primary education and also post-secondary schools through animation, 3D video games. This gives them new skills. People from these projects are already cooperating internationally in the Arab world to create comic strips and regional publishing and so on. And this mostly is to train them, to give them skills that are more practical, that allows them to have tools to integrate in society, in employment, in a very creative way. People, this is primary education, secondary education students have fun while learning. Through the social networks and the digital technologies, we find some really interesting elements, such as Nafhan. It's an educational platform with videos, very short videos, maximum 15 minutes long. They already have 23 videos. There we have all the curricula from Syria, part of Egypt and Algeria, where young people, they can use this tool if the quality of the teaching in the classroom is not good enough or they have some doubts. They can get into YouTube and revise the content of the curricular as many times as they want. It has more than 500,000 downloads every month worldwide. I have spoken to one of the creators of this. They want the whole curricula, the study program of Syria is already in this platform, and they want to tell it to the take it to the refugee camps so that the people can keep studying and they don't lose this opportunity. EdGram is a combination of work with Harvard, Jordania, and MIT, and it's the first Arab platform, non-lucrative platforms that allows them to train themselves in Arabic language. So this is in Arabic so that they can have these massive learning courses in their own language. Here we have another element which involves great companies, private sector. This is a project that wants to be replicated in the rest of the world and in Africa. Microsoft has created a cloud academy in Morocco just for women. These women need to have an interest, an entrepreneurship project which is digital, which is involved, related to the cloud issues. So some women are chosen, selected, they are trained, they are given the tools, the knowledge, they have the follow-up through the process of creating the projects, always with new technologies so that they can put them into practice and they get financing in order to start their project. This was the launching of the project, and they have had several tens of women that have been trained through this project. Microsoft is studying it, assessing it to see if they have the right impact, and they are thinking of replicating it in other Arab countries. This is a moment of redefinition of the environment of the Arab world, and the new technologies play a very important role. The diaspora, all the immigrants from migrants from Syria, from Morocco, from the Arab world. There are millions of Arabic migrants in the world. In this moment of social, political, institutional redefinition of new social contract between the civil society and the representatives in the Arab world, and it is also a moment of redefinition of the economic environment. The diaspora sees an opportunity to get involved in the countries of origin. We have some web pages with databases, with accelerators, with an involvement of Silicon Valley and French organizations too. And I'm talking about financing, mentoring, promotion of crowdfunding from the diaspora, sometimes with some really, really interesting projects. There are some entities that are looking for social projects, for example. They have refinanced through the diasporas bookstores that were burned during the wars in Beirut, not only with an economic goal, but also for the promotion of the culture. This was something that very nice project that was carried out in Beirut. So we have more and more digital tools for the promotion of the involvement of the diaspora with the countries of origin. I know that this is not the Mediterranean, but it's quite important. eBridge is the same case, but with the Iranian diaspora. Entrepreneurs from Iran, they meet in a city in the world. This is behind the Berkeley University of the United States, with the main people from the diaspora from Iran, and we have many companies supporting them. iBridges is the meeting point of young people with ideas. They meet in a city somewhere in the world with investors that have an Iranian origin. So iBridge is the Iranian bridge, and this created quite a lot of tension in the Iranian government, because it meant helping people to leave the country, to get trained with the new technologies, and it can be a game changer. First edition it was in Berkeley, the second was in Berlin, and the third one was in Barcelona last year. So it is Iran, new technologies, entrepreneurship, young people, and this was done in Barcelona. So these things do not happen so far away from us when we're talking about the north of Africa and Middle East and so on. In the north of Africa and the diaspora, there are several projects to promote connectivity between the Jordan, Lebanese and Palestine diaspora with their counterparts in Europe, and there are, well, incubators, mentoring, promotion of knowledge and financing for these projects. And to conclude, I will speak about ICTs and social inclusion. This company started, well, financed with crowdfunding the reconstruction of a bookstore that had been burned by the radical Islamists, and this has been quite an emblematic project of new technologies, crowdfunding, and socio-cultural projects more than economic projects. These are some of the most emblematic projects, but not the only ones. Since 2011, it is no coincidence that the Arab Spring started in 2011, but crowdfunding with the new technologies also started in the year 2011. But there were some dynamics that caused this, so this has experienced an enormous growth since then. In the Mediterranean, this is the title of the meeting we did. The Mediterranean as a living lab. We have the new technologies, we have the youth, we have demands, we have social needs, more and more urban, and there is a great diversity. This is essential and fundamental. But diversity, creativity, and the mixture of cultures is what gives all the added value to this potential. New technologies, youth, diversity, this is the Mediterranean at its purest state. I think we still have some hope, and we will witness some really important changes in the near future in this social inclusion through the new technologies. Thank you very much.
Gracias.